Well, welcome everybody. We're excited to have you again on to our Monday call. We're trying to get quite a bit of training down. And I don't know if anybody can hear, Al, if not, but there's an old saying, when the student is ready. Does anybody know what the rest of the saying is?
The teacher will appear.
The teacher will appear. And so what does that mean to what we're doing with these webinars and training? A lot of times you'll get on a training and you'll look at it and you'll watch it and you go, you know, I didn't really get anything out of that. And the reason that you didn't get anything out of it in reality is you don't have anybody that fits that profile. You don't have a prospect or a client or somebody to fit the situation. So the point of it is keep getting on these webinars, because all of a sudden you'll get on one and you'll go, that would be perfect for my brother John, or that would be excellent for my Uncle Bill, or whatever the case might be. And if you're at my age, it wouldn't be an uncle, it would be a son-in-law or whatever the case might be. But guys, keep getting on these webinars. It's a big, big deal. And have it, we're also storing these in the back office, and Michael can show a little bit more maybe at the end how to do that. But, you know, and take some notes. But when you're ready, this will make some sense, okay? So let's get into where we were, what we did last week. We kind of talked about where should we put our money, the IRA, Roth IRA, 401k, or the 7702 plan, which is also called the IUL. All right. I like using the word 7702 plan in conjunction with the IUL because no one knows what an IUL is, but also no one knows what a 7702 plan is either, but we can show them a 7702 plan. Oh, that's part of the tax code. And then you can show them from one of our slides where it's part of the tax code. So they have a little bit more belief in the fact that, well, maybe what you're saying is true. Now, we talked about tax-free living benefits, the ways to be able to get them. I'm going to try to minimize this part of the screen. There we go. You know, are we going to use term? Are we going to use GUL? Are we going to use the IUL? Again, if term is renting, it's a good plan. It gets us living benefits. It gets us a death benefit, but there's no cash value. There's no growth with it. Okay. But if somebody is in a dire straits financially, they got 50 bucks, maybe 75, a term plan can be a fit. All right. It's a renting. At least it's a roof over your head. It's a place to live, but you'll build no equity. Okay. And so by using the indexed universal life, we think that's the best move. Now, typically you can rent cheaper than you can buy or own. And so that's kind of the same way to relate a term policy versus the IUL or 7702 plan. Typically people leave renting, go to buying, they come up with a down payment, they still got to make a monthly payment, they still got taxes and insurance, they still have upkeep, all those things. It's more expensive, but they build equity because they're paying more, okay? And so it's the same concept. So this is like renting, the term's like renting, and the IUL is like owning. So we want to see which one fits your budget. So now we've gone through the presentation that we did last week. We showed them that if they can afford to, the IUL is a much better product, okay? We've already done that. Now we've asked which fits your budget, and this is the analysis that we got. This is what we came back with, okay? And in doing so, what we came back with is they need about $1.1 million of life insurance. Okay, now both do. And today we're not going to worry about Mary so much because we're going to teach you how to get into the website and so forth. But we got Joe. Now, couple things on medical issues. If they do have medical issues and you put yes here, okay, or if you say no, there's no medical issues, but are you on medications? And they say yes, get the medications. Find out what they are, okay? Because a lot of times we can go to ANICO or AIG, and you can actually send in and ask for a quote saying, I've got a male, he's 35, he's 5'11", 175, no medical issues to speak of really, but he is on something, say for thyroid or blood pressure or whatever. You can actually send that in and they'll give you a quote ahead of time. You don't want to put the name. You don't want to put the birthday to identify with them. You just want to get a generic thing. So get as much information as you can. Okay, we found out they got $10,000 in debt. They would like the mortgage paid off, et cetera, et cetera. So this Joe here needs $1.1 million in life coverage. All right. They're putting $100 a month away into some mutual funds. They've got $300 a month for life insurance. Now, in this example, it'll probably be a 1035, or maybe they just started a VUL. But we showed them that the fees and the risk can be kind of not something they want to do. He's contributing $400. Now, is he getting a match to his 401k? In this example, no. He's not getting a match. My daughter has a 401k with her company, but there's no match. So she puts money into an IUL. All right. He might be putting in some money, but he's maybe contributing more than the match. So the money over and above the match is a real good place to use money for the IUL. And then you got to ask this question. In addition to your current expenses, how much could you additionally afford to put away? I asked the guy that the other day, and he said, probably 1,000. Now, what if I wouldn't have asked that question? What number would I be playing with? I'd be playing with 400, 300, and 100. I'd be playing with $800 instead of $1,800. So make sure you ask that question. In addition to what you're currently spending, how much could you currently afford to put away? Guys, if you might be struggling, but that doesn't mean everybody is. Just go out in your town and go out on Friday night and see how many people are spending 20, 30, 40 bucks for dinner. Okay? So some people do make money, and that's the group you got to get into, guys. If you're hanging around a bunch of broke people, this is going to be a frustrating business. You got to find people with money, and there are people with money. Okay? Qualified funds. Can we really do much if the guy's 35 and he's got 50,000 in a 401k already, or an IRA, or whatever the case might be? Not much you can do. It's just going to sit there. Okay? He's got probably $5,000 in this cash value. We talked about that example of what he's doing there. And then he might have, say, 20,000 in non-retirement funds. Where could he get that money? Well, maybe they bought the house and they got in for a lesser down payment than they thought. A lot of people say, I want to put 20% down. Maybe they got in FHA and only had to put in $1,500 down. So they still have that money. The IUL is a great place to put that money because he's probably got it sitting in a CD someplace, not doing very well. And so he can get it into an account that's flexible and all those type of things. So as an example, so what we're shooting for is this $1 million, and we got $1,000 to play with, okay? Now, just quickly, remember the red line, blue line, what the returns were? 4.17 was the actual market for the last 19, 20 years. And then if we index it, it'd been 7.22, 3% difference. Where do we get that in the KGAR? And you can go to the KGAR, just type that in Google, and there's our 4.17. We just took from 99 to 2017. It's right there. All right. So remember, again, there's our money to play with right there. Now, let's see what an IUL can do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to ANICO. We're going to go to their website. Now, lately, if you haven't gotten on, and there is a two-step login required, they're asking you to put in a password, a special password. Now, once you've done that, you're okay. If you notice, my name's checked in there. So I'm going to go to Expert Office, and I'm going to go to Expert Illustrator.
Hey, Brent.
Yep.
You have to do a new share when you shift out of your presentation, so because we're not seeing what you're doing.
Okay. So how do I do that one? I hit stop share first?
Stop share and then hit new share. There you go.
Got it. Hopefully that's opening up. Can you see it now?
You got it.
Okay, now, one thing, guys. If you hit Expert Illustrator and this screen does not pop up, if it does not pop up, look on your upper right and look for a pop-up blocker. That just happened to me this morning because I knew I was logged in. I had done that pin, that new pin, but it just kept saying Expert Illustrator, and I couldn't figure out, and I even called the home office, and they didn't know what the heck was going on, okay? So, but I looked over here, and I saw the pop-up blocker. So make sure you look up for your pop-up blocker. That might be the case. So now we're going to create a client. We're going to go in here, and we're going to be Pete prospect. All right. We can put a classification. We can put he's a prospect for right now. His date of birth, and we'll make him 35, so we'll make him 03 1983. Excuse me. Okay, that should make him 35. He's a gender of a male, and he lives in the great state of Texas. Now, why do you need to put in the state? Okay, and I'm just going to use Texas as an example. You want to put in the state one if it's your state, but sometimes certain products may not be approved in the state that they live in. You just want to make sure. Okay, you do not need to do any of this information right now. Notice if there's an asterisk, a red one, it needs to be filled in. Okay, if there's not, okay, the rest is not to be need to put in here. You can if you want, but it does need to be in there. Now, I want some action. So let's get an action. Let's ask for a new illustration. Okay, so Pete Prospect's there. He's in Texas. It's a new business illustration. Okay, there's a different options, but we're just going for that. It's universal life. Here's if we want it term, whatever we want to put in, but we're good with universal life. Signature IUL, guaranteed UL, whatever. Let's use the signature IUL. Pete Prospect, again, now we want to create. And it'll spin a little bit, so don't worry about it. Now, in this example now, does everybody see the screen good size and everything?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so here we are. Now, what are we going to quote him? Well, it depends on you if you've met him, but we looked at his height and his weight. By the way, if you can go to ANICO and play around up on the front. I'm not going to do that right now. And then you could print this out. But if, as an example, if you're, what do we say, is 5'10", 180? Okay, so 5'10", he can weigh up to 197 and still get preferred. Okay, now, do I ever quote, you can do standard, there's nothing wrong with that. Very seldom will I ever do preferred plus, but I might do preferred if I personally met the client. He's 35, he's on no medications, he has really no health issues, so we'll use preferred. Now, am I going to put the face in? And the answer is no. We're not going to put face in. Why? Because we know what we want to put for premium. We're going to put in $1,000 a month. So over here, we're going to take the minimum face. In other words, what's the least amount of face I need to take out for $1,000 a month? All right. And I'm going to pay the premium till I'm 69. 34 years. All right. I can go over here and say, remember we had that 1035. So we have 1035 money. And there's 5,000 in there. So I can put that 5,000 in. There's no loan on the policy, but he's got that much in cash. Now, how do you find that out? You get the statement. Okay. So I got my 1035. I have to declare which percentage I want to use or what index I want to use. So I'm going to put 100% in the 1 year point to point with the 12.5% cap and a 0 floor. If you don't fill that in, it's not going to let you illustrate. So make sure you get that in there. All right. Now, sorry about that. I'm going to go down here, prevent the MEC, cumulative report, summary, ABR report. If that box is unchecked, you won't see the riders. So we want to make sure that box is checked. So we see the riders. Now notice you can put the ages you want the rider amounts to show up. You could change those ages, but that's in. Now I want to do a max loan. And I want to do that loan when I'm 69 as well. So 69, and then it'll run it to 121. So then I have to put in 52 years. Okay. Now, I should be good to go. Now, if I want to, I can just back up one page. Oh, excuse me. If I want to and not wait for the whole illustration to pull up, I can go down here to Quick Calc. So I'm not going to run the full illustration yet. And if I do Quick Calc, I'm going to find out that $1,000 a month with a $5,000 1035 exchange is going to give us almost $1 million. Isn't that right what we needed for life insurance, guys, right there? Here's the minimum premium. Here's your target. That's a nice target. You get paid on $11,263 times your compensation percentage. Okay? So do I feel the need of insurance? Right now I'm going, hey, this looks good. I like this. Okay. So now I go back up here. So 1,091, just for the sake of argument, I'm going to take that $5,000 out of there because let's just say he had 0. Let's see, does it make a lot of difference? Or I didn't know what he had because I didn't get the policy. So I probably may not want to put it in there just because I'm not sure what it's going to be. So maybe I should leave it out unless I know pretty much exactly what it is. But I do know he's got $1,000 a month. That's for sure. $1,054,000. So it really didn't make much difference, did it? Okay. So I can print this and just print it and then save it, or so that I can use this. If I'm doing $1,000 a month, here's what I got, whatever. That's a lot cheaper than printing the whole illustration, isn't it? But now I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go back to action, and I'm going to preview the illustration. Okay. No, I don't want new illustrations. Sorry. Hang on. Oh, guess what happened? Why isn't it working? Anybody have an idea? Let's see here. Why isn't it working, guys? Anybody know?
Pop-up blocker.
Look right here. What is that? That's a pop-up blocker. Okay? So before you go crazy and call ANICO and yell and scream at them, go to your pop-up blocker and allow pop-ups. Now I'll go back to action, preview illustration. Now, did I get rid of it or not? Let's see. Okay, guys, so that's the pop-up blocker situation. Now, I can shrink this down just a tad. All right, now I'm going through. This is a nice page right here. Here's Pete Prospect.
Hey, Brent, sorry, buddy. When that pop-up showed up, you got to just hit share screen again.
Gotcha.
And
No
go ahead
problem.
and show us the illustration.
I can do that. Are we back?
Perfect.
Okay, so there's American National. There's the cover page. This is the page you're looking for right here. It's really nice. ANICO does a good job of this, okay? So for Pete Prospect, age 35, for your $1,000 a month, you'll have $1,054,000 in coverage. You'll have $99,000 in tax-free benefit. Okay, for the $1,000 a month. Okay, pretty decent, right? Then you can scroll down. Here's your living benefits. You can show them the critical and chronic illness, the different ages, how much benefit is potentially available to them. So you can show them the living benefits page. You can read through all this stuff. I always tell people, if you have a hard night sleeping, pull this out, start reading it. You should be asleep within a few seconds. But there's some good stuff in there, so go ahead and read it. at least the first time. You just keep scrolling down. Scroll down. Now you get to your illustration. So there's our 1,000 a month, 12,000 a year. Okay. Here's our death benefit. You can see how that's going. Here's our surrender value. Here's our accumulation value. Remember, an IUL, keeping it for 1 or 2 years and then cashing it in is not a good product. It's not a wise decision. Okay. This is the product you keep for a lifetime. Now here's our income, 99,000. Now our death benefit grew up to about 1.4 million. All right. And the whole arbitrage is another discussion. But if you notice, the death benefit is going down. Now, why is the death benefit going down? Because I'm taking the maximum out that the contract kind of allows. There's a thing in here called overloan protection. If for some reason we have too many negative years in the market, now if we have a negative year in the market, that doesn't give us a negative return, but it doesn't give us any gain either. So it's possible that all of a sudden this could get so low that it's like, wow, we're down here at 300,000. It's possible that they could say, take a little less out, but they will have overloan protection built in at no cost, so you will not run out of money. Okay. It may not be quite 99, but they'll do that. Okay. That's built into the product. Now we go in here and we put a total of 408,000 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. We got 600,000 out. So we got all our money back basically in 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So right there, we're basically back to zero. It's kind of like playing blackjack where you played for 2 hours and you left. You didn't lose, but at least you put your money you originally put in, you put it back in your pocket, so you played with the house money. So right now, we're playing with the insurance company's money in essence, because we've got all our money back in 4 years. Okay? So then you got the whole illustration, go through this. There's quite a bit of stuff. Now, you say, Brent, I don't really like the fact that that insurance amount goes down. What can I do about that? Remember the 99? I can go in here, and when it gets to loan, I know the max loan, remember the max loan, I can go in here and say, you know what? I'm not going to take 99, so I'm going to go to input, and I'm going to take 90,000 out instead. So I'm going to put in the amount that I want out. You still seeing the screen, Mike?
I'm seeing the illustration. You're at policy outlay right now.
Yep, and I'm scrolling.
No, you'll have to share again.
Okay, no problem. I didn't know for sure, so I just wanted to make sure. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
All right, you see it scrolling now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I did, guys, we went in and we said, okay, I know that I can get up to 99,000 on the maximum loan, the max loan. But I'm a little concerned. I don't want to run out of money, so I'm going to put in 90,000. Okay? And now let's just see what happens in our illustration. If you want to go to somebody and say, you'll always have $1 million. Now let's see how close this comes. We still got $1 million of death benefit? Do we still have $1 million of death benefit on the right? Okay, it went down to 1.1. Do you still have $1 million of death benefit? So by just trimming down the amount, we can actually go back to Mr. Prospect and say, oh, by the way, you'll always have $1 million of death benefit. Always. You'll get your money back in 4 years. Now, in this case, with 90,000, 10 years less, 4.5 years. But you'll always have that $1 million of death benefit to, for one, pass on to your heirs tax-free. Number two, use it for living benefits. So if a guy goes in a nursing home, hopefully the 90,000 will cover most of the nursing home, but he's also got an additional $1 million over here. Okay, and we always had $1 million just by adjusting it just that little bit. Okay, now what would happen if he says to you, okay, well, Brent, I get that, but I don't know that I can afford the 500. Okay, I mean 1,000 a month. I'm just not sure that that's good. What if some other expenses come up? Well, one of the things is beauty about the IUL is you can get at the money. You don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half. But if for some reason he says, well, what would 700 a month, what would that do? And I just want to show you a couple things. So don't panic. It's their money, what fits their budget. Okay. If you stretch them too far, sometimes they cancel. That's not good. So now I got 731,000. Now I'm going to have to go back and take I want to take the 90,000 out. So I want to go back in here. And when we do loans, I want to go back to max loan because I want to see how he'll see how much it affects his income as well. And then we're going to search for, obviously, the max loan. So let's see what happens. Sometimes when you present back, you may want to come with an A, B, and a C plan. If you come back with A plan and he doesn't like it or she doesn't like it, then what's your plan B? So sometimes, a lot of times I'll say, here's plan A, here's plan B, here's plan C. Okay, now it's 731,000 and it's 68,000 a year. And he says, well, I've got some other money and that's out of fit. Maybe he's comfortable. So what do we do here? Okay, what do we do there? We'd like $1.1 million, right? So what we can do is go in and $1.1 million minus 731.5. Okay, he's 368,000 short. Do I need to flip the screen again?
Yeah.
Why does it do that when that's crazy, isn't it? Sorry. Okay, you guys see now the 731?
Yes, sir.
So what happened? He said, well, 1,000 might be a little tight. So what number would you be comfortable with? He says 700. So now we get 731 and 68,000. Now I could take that 731, we'll go back in here, and I can go in and put a rider on. Now you seen me do this, Mike, or not, or did it stop again?
No, it stopped again.
Okay, no problem. We're going to have to call these guys. Showing up now?
Yes.
Okay, so now what I can go in here, I can go signature term primary. I can put on a rider, and what will it let me do? A 10-year, 15, or a 20-year? I can't get a 30, but I could put a 20-year rider, okay, and I could put that for, say, $370,000. Okay. He's 35, I get it to 55. Again, it won't take a 30-year, but it'll take up to 20. And I hit OK. Still seeing it, Mike?
Yes, sir. Once the illustration comes up, though, you'll have to share it again.
Yep, got it. Did that pop up or not?
No, I'm still seeing the rider page.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's my death benefit protection from the IUL. Now remember, I was going to get 68,000. Now I only get 66. And the reason is because we bought a 20-year term and just put it into the policy. Okay, put it into the policy, but see what my death benefit is? $1.1 million. Now my $1.1 million will stay level for 20 years. Here's my $1.1 million again, because the 20-year, it's 300,000 level. Now you see it drop off to 742 because my 20-year term is gone. So it's one way to get the proper coverage in that whole situation. Does anybody have any questions on this part of it? I got a couple things to finish up with. Anybody got questions?
Folks, if you have questions, use the chat feature and I can relay that over to Coach here.
Okay.
But so far, no questions.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right, so now I don't know why mine came out at 107, a little bit different. I did prefer, I did 1,000 a month. Oh, I know, payable to age 70. I'm sorry. I did one extra year. Sorry about that. So that's why this one says 107, and this is a copy save. So I'm not going to go back and change it. Now, can you see this, Mike? Or do I got to change it again?
I changed it again. I'm still looking at the illustration.
Okay. So this is part of the PowerPoint.
Got it.
Got it. Okay. So now the reason mine says 107, guys, I ran it to 70 on when I did copied and pasted this from last week. So that's why it doesn't say 99. Okay. Because if you came up and said, I thought it said 99, it says 107. But let me finish with this. So now as you're completing this and you're putting this package together, okay, so Mr. Client, with that $1,000 a month, we can get you the $1 million of coverage you need. It'll give you $107,000 of tax-free income starting at age 71. It's going to be 71 because of that right here, age 71. So I should have backed it up 1 year to say 99. But anyway, we're here, okay? Now, Mr. Client, what does that mean to you? Well, it means you're going to have living benefits along the way. So if anything happened along the way, you can get potentially up to 90% of your face amount. So potentially up to 90% of this. It depends on how chronic and the critical the illness is. If it's slight impairment, it's not going to be as much. If it's moderate impairment, it'll be a little bit more. Now what happens here, you might get slight impairment. They might say, you have $1 million policy. We'll give you, even on slight impairment, $904,000. Now then your policy is more than likely gone. Now if you have $1 million policy and let's say for some reason you just need $100,000 because something happened and you'll be okay in a year, but you need 1 or 2 years of income, something of that nature, and you go to the insurance company and say, I'm filing a claim, but I really only need $100,000 of living benefits. What would you do? They might come back with the $1 million and say, here's 100, and then shorten your face amount or lower your face amount. So if you have $1 million policy, they probably aren't going to say, here's 100, and then we cancel the rest. They'll probably give you a partial benefit. So that can happen too. Now, there's our illustration, the 12,000, there's the $1 million. Here's our, remember, 420s coming back. We put in, 535 in 7 years, 6 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we got 525. So we got all our money back here in this example, 5 years. Okay. Now, if we put $1,000 a month, there's our income. What if we did $1,000 a month in a 401k with no match? So $1,000 a month, no match, $40,000 a year after tax. Now, who should have the extra $66,000, Mr. Client? Should you have it, or should the IRS and Wall Street have it? Guys, that's $66,000 on the table. That's a lot of money. And all we're doing here is the math. All we're doing is the math. That's simple math. That's what it is, guys. A lot of these illustrations, and you need to use the illustrations because they're part of the package. They're part of the prospectus or whatever you want to call it. you know, and you need to use the illustration, but you also got to explain it in a way they understand it. And to me, being of Scandinavian descent, I understand this a little bit better. That's the difference. I'm just using the same rate of return. Excuse me, that shouldn't have the fee in there. I apologize. That should be cost of insurance. No, wait, that's the fee. Yeah, this is cost of insurance. Sorry about that. I got it right. So 7.16 with a 1.5 fee. 7.16 with fees and costs included. All the costs of insurance. What does it tell you? In this example, what it tells me, the cost of the insurance ends up being less than the fee because I got less money over here. Now, if I do the 7702 plan, to get the same net income, the same 106, you're going to have to put in 2,600. You want to put in 2,600 a month, Mr. Klein, or 1,000? You said, we figured you have 1,000, but do you have 2,600? Now, if he gets a match at work, he's got to get over 100% match to get equal, doesn't he? Plus, if you have a 401k, and I don't even care how much you have in here, but let's say you're prior to, even if you're at age 70 and you need a lump sum for living benefits, how much are you going to get out after tax? You got to think about that too. Where here, this living benefit amount that you get out of here is tax-free. So remember the real rate of return was 4.17? What if that happened? You'd have to put $4,875 a month away in your IRA, and even if you got a match, what is it going to cover it? What the real rate of return was. Plus you got living benefits. Well, Brent, I'm just going to buy term. All right, go buy $1 million worth of term. It's only $1,000 a year instead of $1,000 a month. Okay, but in year 31, it's only $50,000 a year. Now, what are you going to do in year 51 when you get that bill for $50,000? Now you say, well, Brent, I can reapply, can't I? Yeah, you can. You could reapply probably at age 56 and try to get another 20-year term or a 30-year term. You could try to do that. But let me ask you a question. If you're healthy now, don't you want to insure your health? So what happens at 55 if you've all of a sudden got diabetes? You've had a heart attack. You've had a stroke. You've had some form of cancer. Is anybody going to insure you? I know 2 teachers. I coached their son, and I talked to them about all this stuff, and they both looked at me and said, we don't qualify for life insurance anymore. My husband has MS, and I had a brain tumor. So they can't get life insurance. So if you can get life insurance, fine. Let's redo it somewhere along the way. But if you can't, there's the bill. So what are you going to do? Drop it. Your wife's going to come home and say, honey, we still got that life insurance, right? Wasn't it like $1 million? No, we don't. Why not? Well, I got the bill. It's $50,000 and I let it go. You did what? Well, Susie's husband at work just had a heart attack and he might die. And she said, well, at least I got the life insurance. And you have to look at your wife and say, well, sorry, honey, we don't have it. We had it, but we don't have it. Why? Because the bill was too high. But if they had an IUL in year 31, what would the cost of the insurance be? $1,100. And it's paid for inside of the policy. So he's still putting in his $1,000 a month for his plan. And then at age 35, he's done contributing. Here, are you done contributing at age 35? No, it's $72,000 to keep up. It's $338,000 that you would have paid by age 70 because your wife says, I don't care what happens, we're keeping the insurance. Now, you probably have to go to your 401k and get the money, right? So you have to take money out of your 401k to pay for the life insurance because she wants it. Or here, it's $1,000 paid from the inside the policy. Remember the 338? Here you'd have paid $420 and gotten all your money back by age 74. So guys, if you can afford the extra money, if the client can put that extra money away, we got to show them the fear and the hurt of what if they don't do it or if they do it. So, Mr. Client, obviously you agreed you need living benefits, correct? And I think the death benefit is valuable too, but also the tax-free income is available to you. Which plan do you think would best suit your needs? Do we want to rent or do we want to own and retire with it? And that's when you ask the question, and what do you say after you ask the question? Michael, what do you say after you ask the question?
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing until he or she says something. And there might be a minute or two of silence, guys, but don't say anything. So, Mr. Client, what solution do you think best fits your budget? The term or the IUL? All right. I'm done for today. Michael, Al, turn it back to you.
Hey, Brent. You know, Michael, you may want to take this screen share and just kind of show again where it is in the back office. But I just wanted to bring up something you talked about. You know, we talk about term being not enforced when people die, right? Well, I got news from a friend of mine this morning. There's a woman that just recently passed away at 65 years old. She is actually in the business. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. Not our business, but she's in the industry over at Primerica. And you know what? They're raising money for her funeral. Now, you know why? She was 66 years old. And frankly, what we talk about, right? What happens at time of renewal, right? And that's the problem with term, is that it's so expensive that people don't renew it because it's so much money. So what do? They let it go. Well, here's a situation where something happened to her now. Unfortunately, she passed away, and she's got no money. And see, this is so important that we educate people on why, just as Brent has been pointing out for the last couple of weeks, why, do you want the policy in force when you die or when you get, in our case, when you get sick? Well, of course you do. And that's why you want to have some permanent plan in there. Long term, it's a whole lot less expensive to have IUL than it is to have term. And there's another example. This just happened yesterday. So, Brent, as always, great job, explaining the difference of why to go from term. And, understand, folks, all our plans are convertible with the term. They're all convertible. So, it may be temporary right now where they're in a 20 or 30-year term or a 15-year term, whatever it is, but they can convert all or part of that to a permanent plan, which is what IUL is, right? A permanent plan, or GUL, up to the age of 65. So that's a great avenue to get them thinking about that for down the road, because you don't want to have clients in that situation where they come up for renewal and they can't afford to pay it. They don't call you and they just drop the plan. So it's super important that we do the right job for people, because the fallacy is, you reach age of retirement and you don't need any coverage. That's not true, folks, because you're certainly going to need living benefits, if nothing else. But why wouldn't you want to have a tax-free death benefit to leave to your heirs, even if you don't per se need the money, right? So if you have enough money to live on, but you got this tax-free benefit that's essentially, I know we talk about it, Brent, as it's a whole lot less expensive when you're older, but technically, if you made money, it almost becomes free, doesn't it? Because the policy is really taking care of that low cost of insurance later on in life. So why would anybody want to let it go, right? So if you got $1 million of coverage and you got $1 million in cash, well, if you spent all the cash, wouldn't your heirs still get the $1 million of coverage tax-free when you die? So it's a great way to leave an inheritance also. So many people get concerned later on in life. Well, I want to have a whole bunch of money. I want to leave money to my kids. Well, everybody wants to do that. why not leave a tax-free death benefit? So now you don't have to worry about the money because you got a life insurance plan that when you pass on, they're going to get it tax-free. So great stuff. Mike, why don't you just take a minute here before we wrap up and show them where this is in our back office. I know you got it up on the screen. Again, it's the Freedom Builder info site. Once you log in, I'll let Mike take the controls from there.
Awesome. Thanks. Great job, Brent. You know, I learned something every day. So we really appreciate you being a part of this and looking forward to more information from you. So how do you get this information if you weren't able to be on here live? We want to make it as easy as we can to provide you the resources so you can share it with your team, watch it over and over again, right? Be a student of the business. So we all know our team site, freedombuilderinfo.com. I'm not going to go through the front of the site with you. I'm just going to go back here where we have put this information. Password is all lowercase, the word freedom, because that's what we believe in, right? Make it real nice and easy for you guys to remember. So right here, you'll see there's a whole nother set of tabs that we can access, and we're going to click on product training. All the Monday morning trainings that we've been doing have been focused on product, and you can see we're putting them all up here right now. So, you know, the evolution of product, we did this one months ago. This is a great segue into what we're doing today. We did our term training. Here's part one of Coach Brent's IUL training from last week, and as soon as we render part two, it's going to be right here, folks. And then you also get your carrier resources. This number right here, by the way, is the FEG ANICO concierge service. So for those of you who don't know, we have our own case managers, we have our own underwriters, we have our own agent support field at American National, and this is the number where you can reach out and get an illustration done or ask those questions like Brent was saying. You know, you find out they take medications, you can get that information over to an underwriter, and they can give you kind of where they may fall in the spectrum. So look, it's super important that we take advantage of the tools that we have and the trainings that we do, even if you were on it live today. You know, you can never hear it enough, and the more you hear it, the better you get at it. The faster you sharpen that tool, the more you can do like Brent has done and help a lot of families. Okay, so this is where you'll find all of our product trainings right under the product training tab. It's available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All it is the team login section of Freedom Builder Info. Password is freedom, and you can go ahead and click on product training and get what you need. As always, just want to reference this one more time here. Your toolbox is where you can find some of the things and documents and presentations that you need in order to present these things to clients. Here's your simple needs analysis, worksheet, top 100 list, a 401k killer, or calculator. This is really going to help you with those people who are contributing to 401ks. And if you don't know how to use it, you know, we can show you how to do that, or your coach can show you how to do that. And last thing that I want to show you, obviously down here are our presentations. These other resources, you know, Brent mentioned this last week, and I think it's super, super important. When you're talking to somebody, have some third-party references. You know, now it's not just you saying it, it's these very credible, highly respected journalists and television syndicates and whatnot. They're telling you why there are 13 reasons why your 401k is your riskiest investment, or why indexing funds outgain hedge funds, right? So it's all of these different things that you can print and have in your arsenal and give to people to read and say, look, it's not me, it's them. And this just brings a lot of credibility back to what we do. So the biggest thing here is just use the tools that you have. I'll bring up product training one more time. It's right in the middle. You can't miss it. And everything that we've covered over the last 3 weeks here on Monday between term and IUL, and I'm sure we're going to be doing more of this upcoming here shortly, will all be here in the product training site. So please use that. And if you have any questions, you know, feel free to reach out to me. My email is freedombuildermike@gmail.com. So with that, Al, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, gang. Well, hey, thanks, you know, to everybody being on call. Brent, thanks for putting this all together. Next week will be another series. We're going to go into some other programs and products. So I would suggest you invite your people here, or at least let them know where the training is. Again, I appreciate your time. It's a commodity, so we appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Mike, thanks for all you do, keeping our site up to date. and contemporary. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being on the call.